It's working. A little sticky. First time it's been running in a long time. 15 volts, 1.5 amps. Wire, headlight's not wired in. I want to get an LED light bulb that screws in. This is just an LED to cut back on the amp draw, but there it is. I cleaned up the drum, as you can see, and the fingers that I showed. I cleaned those up, and I rewired some stuff that was off, and then I put in new springs and new brushes. This is a pull-more motor. Pretty good. Okay, this is what I'm going to put in this K5 up here, and it's a smoke and tender K5, but the smoke has been missing. This is for my Hudson, so this whole mechanism was missing. So what I'm going to do is put in a fan-driven smoke, and I'm going to adapt it to fit the same way with a plug and a tube, and then run it back here with electronics, some digital stuff. I got a new board coming tomorrow that will control the heat much more accurately, so it should work just fine. And then I might have room for a soundboard, so I could actually have chuff sounds, puff sounds, all that stuff, plus the original reverse and boiler mechanism. I mean, I do have an adapter for that frame where I could put the smoke in front, but I don't know. I like to keep some of this stuff if I can. Anyway, that's where I'm at. This guy was figured out. I felt really bad about it. These bushing, these fiber bearing, I don't know what you call them, fiber washers. I had them mixed up. I had a fat one on top and a skinny one on the bottom, and this thing was so flippy floppy it wouldn't stay on. And on this one I had two fat ones, and it was so stiff it wasn't adapting to the track. So I got them now. The fat one goes on the bottom and the thin one goes on top on both cases, and they now both act perfect. I put it on the track yesterday, ran a couple laps around. It was just smooth as glass, forward and backward. Pickup's working great. I don't have to change these wheels, but I could to get the pickup. But it seemed to be working pretty good with just the extra pickup here and the extra pickups back here. So that gives you 6-wheel pickup instead of 4 or 8 or 2 or whatever you had going on. So I think we're going to be in good shape with this guy. This is the factory mount, and what I'm working, well, I mean factory mount, my beta release mount. Okay, I'm working on a new housing. I had made a technical error in my honey. I made a technical error in my printing process. I was worried about support so much that I was printing this thing onto horizontal, and while it worked and I had good support, I was actually creating a seam right through the bolt holes, and of course, as you can see, here's a crack. I had to repair it. So every time I put a screw in, no matter how delicate and how pre-drilling and everything I tried to do, it would crack. So what I ended up realizing, a friend of mine actually suggested this, I had rotated it for that other reason, and now I realized it. So now what I've done is I've rotated it back, so it's now printing upright like this. So the layers are going to be here coming across, and it will have extra strength vertically, and it should not crack out. I'm still going to pre-drill and clean them up. I may try one and see if it cracks. If it doesn't crack, I'm good to go. But generally, you can mold these things or print these things, and these screws are like self-tapping, more or less self-tapping, as long as the hole is reasonably good size, and they work. And for some reason, they weren't able to bite and do their job. So I think I got that ironed out. And then tomorrow, I'm getting a new board to control the heater. These boards are a volt regulator, and what that means is it can step down voltage. So you never go above the number you set. So if I set it at 9 volts, it never goes above it, but it will go below it when you slow down the engine. There's also a board called a boost regulator, and in this case, it will take amperage and convert it to volts so that you can have 9 volts at low speed. So I could be running the motor on 6 volts, but the heater is seeing 9 volts. So it will give strong smoke at 9 volts, and then when you floorboard it to 15 volts, it still only sees 9 volts. So it'll be consistent with the smoke level. Then I can tune my fan perfectly, and we should be in very good shape with the smoke output at low speed and high speed. I now have the trucks tuned right. They're all working with the piece, and I tried to make some still shots earlier where I cleaned my drum. See how nice that drum looks down in there, and how nice that drum looks down in there. They were black, but what I have is this eraser. It's an eraser with sand in it. It's called a track cleaner eraser, and we use it mostly for track, where you just do this. But I found if I clean this corner off on some Scotch-Brite so it's nice and clean, I can hold that drum and rub this on it, and it cleans off all the gunk, all of the green mold, all of the dirt, and it really shines up the brass on the drum without hurting it and scratching it and scarring it and blah blah blah. And both drums came out beautifully, and the things worked great. So track eraser on your vintage drum works. Okay, so progress. Lunch is almost ready. Both engines are running. It's a contest to see which engine can go together first, the K5 or the diesel. The diesel's had a head start, but they're both lacking the right parts, and those are coming today and tomorrow. So there you go. More later, gang. Sorry I was gone so long, but I had a medical issue. It was resolved, and I'm fine. Nothing serious, and back on track. Okay, later.